Yo, what's up guys? I just wanted to make a quick build showcase and guide as well for my Rehan 2 Berserking Blade setup. This build is focused mainly on clearing a map as fast and efficiently as possible. So it was basically, the goal was clearing Overrealm, especially the purple variation, which is a very tight time requirement because you have to clear basically the entire deep space map in around 20 to 25 seconds. And not a lot of builds can do that. I wanted to just quickly show how the build works in mapping, and then talk about like how you basically gear and set up for it as well. So let me go over to the map over here and show you how it plays. So I'm just gonna do core mine because it's a linear map, so I can just go through very quickly. I'm just loading up basically a deep space probe as well as 4 orange compasses with Sinful Plunder. So you can basically, if you can do this compass setup, you can basically do all the content in the game practically. It also has the 65% minus additional damage dealt to elites, as well as a 50% damage avoidance. And this build is able to do red deep space maps pretty much blind. You can do any affix you want. So I'm just gonna run through it, clear the map as fast as possible, try to ignore looting, just so you can get a feel of how fast the build actually clears maps. So you guys can see the clear speed is very good, lots of AoE, and it only gets better with Eternity stacks. And this build was basically built upon abusing Eternity stacks and gaining the most benefit from basically all the buffs possible. And I choose the Cicada gloves, Vorax crafted gloves, to accomplish this. So you can scale your energy shield on top of your AoE from the Berserking Blade skill. So the more energy shield and the more skill area you get, the more damage you're doing. So basically every single Eternity buff stack is beneficial for this build. This build is, disclaimer, it is pretty expensive to get started. Your 2 required items are basically Eternity as well as Vorax crafted gloves. Current prices for Eternity is around like 18k-ish, I would say, and then Vorax crafted gloves, 4 to 6k. So I'm gonna go through the gearing setup real quick and just explain the thought process behind it. First things first, most important part of Cicada Shell, you want a 1.4% roll. It is currently very expensive to truth fossil for this roll, so just search the trade house and buy a 1.4%. The other affixes are not very important, especially in the beginning, so don't worry about like getting ultimate like T0s or whatever. I would just settle on the cheapest pair of 1.4% gloves you can get. As for the rest of the gear, it's pretty straightforward, just a Broken Sun Ring. Because of this solar ring mod, it's very beneficial, especially if you have like nearby pets like I do, stuff like Azure Gunslinger, Red Umbrella. And for the corroded mods for this, you want LE resist and additional steep strike damage. I tested earlier on in the week, and the corroded version of this solar ring does not actually increase the damage dealt. It basically provides the same benefits as the uncorroded version. So get these 2 mods, they're very cheap together. and don't worry about solar ring corrode. The rings are pretty standard. It's just normal priceless. Same with the weapon. You want steam row as well on advanced sequence later on. Also, the boot setup. So for speed mapping, I opt for Blade Dancers because of this line here, and I pair this with the Speed Phantom skill so that I can zoom around the map as quickly as possible. For the better damage setup for bossing, I do opt for Lone Walkers as well as Dawnbreak. And basically, you can choose between Blade Dancers or Lone Walkers for mapping as well, based on your damage requirements. Like, obviously, the more damage you have, the less you need Lone Walkers, and you can like slot in more speed setup. And also, for Belt Blend, it is very important we get Shell either from the belt or Pedigree. So make sure you always have Shell from something. This is how we scale our ES to like pretty insane numbers. Like you see right now, I have 126k sitting in town. If you can't afford Shell up on a belt blend, just grab it. Grab a +1 all skill levels. You see, my resists are not capped. It doesn't matter. It is very, very hard to actually die in a deep space map, even like when you're running blind red deep space. It's still like pretty comfortable. Let me go over the skills real quick. Oh, let me change this to still attack. If you are using motionless, you want to replace critical strike damage with willpower, but with my still attack setup, I opt for elemental fusion, crit damage, and obviously desperation and rampage for the Berserking Blade supports. These supports are pretty expensive, so you don't have to worry about leveling them to 5. Like, I'm still at level 2, even though my like net wealth on the account is pretty insane. Thunder Spike, you run the 5-link support skill to turn it into a mobility skill. It is a lot faster than Spiral Strike, which is why I invest so much energy into getting this. Speed Phantom, this is just for more mobility, map clear speed. You can change this to a either if you're running timid on, if you don't have timid on ring, you can run timid curse. Fixate is a good option. You can also run fearless warcry for the additional steep strike damage. Also, automaton is pretty decent. If you grab the energy shield protocol, there is also a area skill area one. This is just my old automaton from my other setup I was using for my projectile build. So it's just basically a 1-line energy shield, which is like a few FE. It also has the Searing Crush ability, which increases the damage that enemies take by 50%. The uptime is not like super reliable, but I think it's a pretty good like one-pointer skill. Obviously, Bull's Rage is very good, and then the auras are pretty standard. You don't have to get Precise Stand as one. It is pretty expensive, but it's sort of just like a min-max sort of thing. And then for talents, we go the standard Goddess of Hunting, and then Druid, same thing here. Just get Reflect Micro and Mediums to get more defenses. If you're going for a budget setup, you can just go for like a 90% plus medium and don't worry about the micro talents. And then for Ranger, I do run Hare's Agility with the Steep Strike chance and the mutation. Most important part is just Steep Strike chance. You want to get 4 to 5 of your nodes being affected by it so that you can reach basically 100% Steep Strike chance or close to it. The radius, you can run basically the majority of them work. I think basically every radius, like 2x4, 3x4, 4x or 4x3, 3x3, I believe works. Yeah, all you need is 4, and then you'll be at 98%. If you are OCD and want 100%, you can either opt to get a 2x4 which can reach all 5, or just grab a medium Kismet with additional Steep Strike chance. For Ronin, we opt for Falling Leaves because we scale our damage off Cicada gloves, so we don't care about the damage of our weapon. So this is basically like a straight up like 40% additional multiplier. And then for Pact page, this you absolutely do not need, as well as the Star Trails. It is perfectly fine to just grab a bunch of these 6% max energy shield nodes without copying them. And then Wraith is a very good setup. It's basically 25% additional damage almost. And then the budget option for medium Kismets, if you don't want to run Star Trails, which I would not recommend, it is if you have a ton of money to spend. Is the Guillotine. This is a very cheap way to get 4 to 6% additional damage, as well as Steep Strike chance. You can just run 4 of these if you are on a budget, and it'll only run you like 300 FE. Also, hero memories. The most important part is getting a ultimate slot 1 and slot 3, so you can get additional damage from leveling these up. For slot 2, Artificial Moon Discipline is the best option. Try to get a 30% additional for the ES, but not required. And then slot in a ES Discipline slot, hero memory. You definitely do not need a +2, but if you do get a +2, you get a bonus effect on your base trait, which is a 1% chance to deal double damage per 5 points of rage. This is currently bugged. It actually gives you 40% instead of 20%. I'm not sure why, even though our max rage is 100, so get it if you can. Lots of extra damage here. I think that about covers it for most of the gearing setup. Let me quickly go over the pedigree as well. The pedigree, you want Shell is the most important one. Second best option would probably be Penetrating, because we do all 3 elements, so we gain all 3 infiltrations, and this becomes 24% additional. Trade-off is also very nice if you can balance your strength and dexterity. For this build, it's kind of straightforward because our Berserking Blade has the strength and dexterity tag, so it's kind of easy to balance these 2 stats out. As for these corners and stuff, you just want 40% defense gained on the bottom line. The top line can just be every generic type of damage you can get. This is also an important line for Blade Dancers if you want to run that setup for mobility. Stuff like 15% additional is very good with Sun Ring, and then plus on Persistent works with Berserking Blade. But yeah, pretty much just wanted to throw out this guide for anyone interested. It is a very fast, efficient mapper. I'm very happy with the results it provided. I have build codes set up for basically every day of my progression, starting from Tier 8 Traveler all the way to SS21 3-star and my Deep Space speed farm setup. I will have the build code for this in the description of the video, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. Appreciate it.